Hi everyone, welcome back to a bit more of Damon Runyon's short stories about life on the east side, lower east side of Manhattan, called On Broadway, and which Guys and Dolls was based on the musical. And here we go. It's called A Nice Price. One hot morning in June, I'm standing in front of the Mohican Hotel in the city of New London, Connecticut. And the reason I am in such a surprising spot is something that makes a long story quite a bit longer. It goes back to a couple of nights before when I was walking along Broadway and I ran into Sam Naganoff, the ticket speculator, who seems to have a very sour expression on his puss, although even when Sam Naganoff is looking good-natured, his puss is nothing much to see. Now, Sam Naganoff is an old friend of mine, and in fact, I sometimes join up with him and his crew to hustle ducats to one thing and another when he is short-handed. So I give him a big hello and he stops and following conversation ensues. How's it going with you, Sam? Although, of course, I do not really care two pins how it's going with him. You look as if you're all sored up about somebody. No, Sam Naganoff says. I am not sored up at anybody. I never soared up at anybody in my life, except maybe Society Max. And of course, everybody knows I have a perfect right to be soared up at Society Max, because look what he's done to me. Well, what Sam Naganoff says is very true, because what Society Max does to Sam is to steal Sam's fiancée. And a couple of years before this, and marry her before Sam has time to think. This fiancée is a doll by the name of Sonia, who resides up in the Bronx, and Sam Naganoff is engaged to her since the year of the Dempsey-Firpo fight, and is contemplating marrying her almost any time when Society Max bobs up. Now, many citizens afterwards claim that Max does Sam Naganoff a rare favor, because Sonia commences to fat up in spots, but it breaks Sam's heart just the same, especially when he learns that Sonia's papa gives the happy young couple 20 big G's in old-fashioned folding money that nobody ever knows the papa has. And Sam figures that Max must get an inside tip on this dough, and that he takes an unfair advantage of the situation. But, Sam Naganoff says, I'm not looking sort up at this time because of Society Max. Although, of course, it is well known to one and all that I am under oath to knock his ears down the first time I catch up with him. As a matter of fact, I do not as much as think of Society Max for a year or more. Although I hear he deserts poor Sonia out in Cincinnati after spending her dough and leading her a dog's life, including a few of her offhand pastings. Now that I am claiming that Sonia may not need a pasting now and then. What I'm looking sort up about is because I must get up into Connecticut tomorrow morning to a spot that is called New London to dispose of the line of merchandise. Why, Sam, I say, what can you be doing in such a place? Oh, Sam says, a large boat race is coming up between the Harvards and the Yales. It comes up at New London every year, and is quite an interesting event from what I read in the papers about it. But the reason I am sort up about going to New Jersey tomorrow is because I wish to spend the weekend in my farm in New Jersey to see how my onions are doing. Since I buy this farm in New Jersey, I can scarcely wait to get over there on weekends to watch my onions grow. But this is an extra large boat race this year, and I'm in possession of many choice ducats, and am sure to make plenty of black ink for myself, and business before pleasure is what I always say. By the way, do you ever see a boat race? Well, I say, that the only boat races I ever see are those that come off around the racetracks, such as being a race that is all fixed up in advance. And some of them are pretty raw, if you ask me, and I am no means in favor of things of this kind, unless I'm in. But Sam Naganoff says these races are by no manner of means the same thing as the boat race he is talking about. Well, I never personally witnessed one myself, but the way I understand it is a number of the Harvards and the Yales without any clothes on get in rowboats and row and row and row until their tongues hang out and they are half dead. Why they tucker themselves out in this fashion, I do not know. And I am too old to start trying to find out why these college guys do a lot of things to themselves. But the boat racing is a wonderful sport, and I always have a nice trade at New London, Connecticut, that is. And if you wish to accompany me on Betty South Street and Liver Lips, and maybe collect a few bobs for yourself, you're welcome as the flowers in May. So there I am, in front of the Mohican Hotel in New London, Connecticut. And Sam the Ganoff and Benny South Street and Old Liver Lips, who are Sam the Ganoff's best hustlers, and all around and about, is a very interesting sight to be sure, as large numbers of the Harvards and the Yales are passing in and out of the hotel and walking up and down and back and forth and making very merry one way or another. Well, after we are hustling our ducats for a couple of hours, it is coming to noon. Benny South Street goes into the hotel lobby to buy some cigarettes, and by he comes out looking somewhat excited and states as follows. "Hey, say," Benny says, "there's a guy inside with his hands full of money, offering to lay 3-1 that the Yales would win the boat race. He says he has 15 G's in cash, and with him to wager at the price stated." "Are there any takers?" Sam the Ganoff says. "No, not many," Benny says. "From all I hear, the Yales figure. In fact, all the handicappers I speak to with them on top, so the Harvards do not care for any part of this guy's play, but there he is, offering 3-1. 3-1, Sam the Ganoff says, as if he is mentioning these terms to himself. 3-1, eh? It is a nice price." "It is a lovely price," Old Liver Lips puts in. Well, Sam the Ganoff stands there as if he's thinking, and Benny South Street seems to be thinking too, and even Old Liver Lips seems to be thinking, and by, I even find myself thinking. And finally, Sam the Ganoff says like this. "I do not know anything about boat races, and the Yales may figure as you say, but nothing between human beings is 1-3. In fact, I long ago come to the conclusion that all life is 6-5 against. And anyways, how can anybody let such odds as these get away from them? I think I will take a small nibble at this proposition. What about you, Benny?" "I will also nibble," Benny South Street says. "I will never give myself in this world if I let this inviting offer to go and turns out the Harvards win." Well, we all go into the hotel lobby, and there is a big gray-haired guy in a white cap with white pants standing in the center of a bunch of other guys, and he has money in both hands. I hear somebody say he's one of the old real-time Yales, and he is speaking in a loud voice as follows. "Why," he said, "what is the matter, Harvards? Are you cowards, or are you just broke? If you're broke, I will take your markers and let you pay for me on the installment plan. But," he says, "bet me. That is all. Just bet me." Personally, I have a notion to let on I am one of the Harvards and slip the guy a nice marker. But I'm afraid he may request some identification. I do not have anything on me to prove I am a college guy. So I stand back and watch Sam the Ganoff shove his way through the crowd and a couple of C notes in his hand, and Benny South Street is right behind him. "I will take a small portion of the Harvards at the market," Sam says, as he offers the gray-haired gentleman his dough. "Thank you, my friend, but I do not think we are acquainted. Who do you wish to hold the stakes?" "You hold them yourself, Mr. Campbell," Sam the Ganoff says. "I knows you, although you do not know me, and I will gladly trust you with my dough. Furthermore, my friend here, who also wishes a portion of the Harvards, will trust you." So the gray-haired guy says that both Sam the Ganoff and Benny South Street are on at 3-1, and thanks again to them at that. And when we go outside, Sam explains that he recognizes the guy as nobody but Mr. Hammond Campbell, who is a very important party in every respect, and who has more dough than Uncle Sam has had debts. In fact, Sam the Ganoff seems to feel that he is greatly honored in getting the bet with Mr. Hammond Campbell, although from the way Mr. Campbell takes that dough, I figure he thinks that the pleasure is all his. We'll see how their bet goes and how their day pans out tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and if you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Always helps. See you soon. God bless. Bye-bye.